Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hello.
Okay. Hi.
So sorry to hear of why you weren't joining us this evening.
I know, me too.
The question is how? How did you do it?
So it's great. I was taking a dance class and I was very excited because I was doing so well and I haven't done it in, decades, and I got a little too excited and jumped a little too high.
All right, well, we have begun our meeting. We didn't know if you were going to be able to log in on time or not, so we're going to go ahead and get to it.
I'll do it myself until you guys need me.
Okay. For anyone watching from home, if you have any questions or comments, you can email them to emorgan@easthathamlibrarysystem.org, and we'll address those during our audience of citizens. So, approval of May 8 meeting minutes. Does anyone have any changes or amendments to that? All right, so those were approved as submitted. Director's report.
Okay, this has been quite a week, and the budget has continued to dominate my time and attention. I spent from 9 in the morning until almost midnight at the library or here at the MOC on Monday. I came after work to the Board of Finance meeting, which went on for a long time, and they were, well, I'll start with the beginning of my report. So the budget referendum held on May 27th had very low voter turnout, less than 1,000 votes cast by a potential 6,000 voters, and it failed by only 9 votes. And a post-poll survey that was conducted by the Board of Finance asked voters whether they thought the budget was too high or too low or adequate. The results are pretty evenly split, although leaning toward too high. The Board of Finance met on June 2nd to present the poll details and decide how to proceed. I attended that meeting and I read a letter of a statement during the public comment period defending the library's FY26 budget. Many other people also made public comments defending the Board of Ed budget. However, because the budget had failed, the Board of Finance asked for $100,000 from the Board of Selectmen and $200,000 from the Board of Education. That was a 2% cut from the Board of Selectmen, so I submitted a 2% cut from the library budget, which was $10,300 of potential cuts. Our total budget is $515,000, and $89,000 of that amount comes from library endowments and donations. The Board of Finance then had a second public meeting on June 9th, which was this past Monday, where the requested cuts were presented, that I also attended. That meeting started at 7 and lasted until close to midnight. There were 2 hours of public comments at the beginning, most of which focused on the importance of not cutting the Board of Ed budget. After the public comments, the Board of Finance reviewed the cuts presented by both boards. The good news is that the Board of Selectmen found cuts in other areas, and so the library's requested budget, which is less than 1% of the total town budget, was not cut. We have experienced significant cuts in the past few years, so this helps us regain a little bit of what we had lost, especially our student interns. The Board of Ed clearly has a lot of support that could potentially bring out more voters for the next referendum. That referendum will be held on July 22nd, and it will hopefully pass this time. For the current budget, FY25 budget, began last July 1st, and we have so far spent $417,932 of our $463,000 budget, or 90% through May. This is on track for this month of the fiscal year. There are some outstanding invoices as well as additional orders for books that will be paid this fiscal year. Our gate count, this is an overview of our May and June events. Our gate count is up significantly over last year. It's good to see people coming in more regularly now that the bridge construction is finished. The Friends of Rathven and the East Haddam Free Public Library Friends continue to prepare summer and fall events, such as the Tanglewood Puppets Show that will be held at the high school, and the East Haddam Museum is hosting 2 of our summer reading events. I'll let the Friends report on those 2 items. The Words from the Woods book circle that we do jointly with the East Haddam Land Trust is meeting June 16th, this next Monday, and the book that we'll be discussing is The Secret Life of Trees. There will then be a summer break before our next meeting on September 15th. We've been meeting at the St. Stephen's Episcopal Church right across the street from the library in one of their meeting rooms, because we just haven't had room at the library for everyone that wants to meet. It's a great group. We have great conversations, and people are still welcome to join us. And you don't need to have read the book to really enjoy the program. The production of Ragtime at the Goodspeed Opera House ends this weekend and is completely sold out. So there are no more vouchers for the rest of this week. The end of Bridge construction seems to have helped their gate count as well. We look forward to again having vouchers for free tickets to All Shook Up starting June 27th. And if you haven't heard of that program, the way it works is on Monday, the Goodspeed sends us a notice of which productions they have unsold seats for, and then they give us the opportunity to give 2 tickets, or 1 voucher for 2 tickets to each of those performances that has unsold seats. And then people, whoever, it's a first come, first served basis. You can either call the library or come in, and then you take that voucher over to the box office, and they will give you the seats that they have available. They're often seats that are in the top balcony, which is not easy to reach, or they may have obstructed views. They're often not 2 seats together. They may be in different parts of the theater, but it's a good chance to see the productions without having any charge at all. I've also posted online our strategic plan objectives. These are the objectives that the staff chose as part of our strategic planning initiative, which ran from 24 up through FY27. So we have met almost all of them, and we'll be discussing that later in this trustees meeting. And that's my report. Thank you. Any questions? Comments?
I have a question about the vouchers. Do different people get it, or do some people seem to be the first to call every
No, we
week?
have different people
Oh, good.
every
I
time.
would, you know.
You have to be a resident of East Haddam, and you have to have a library card in good standing at the library. Those are the only requirements.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, thank you. And now for the Finance Committee report. Don, you want to give us a quick recap? I think everyone got the minutes that were sent out.
I mean, we went over line by line over the current budget for this year, where things stand. A few lines, 2 or 3 lines were over budget, but quite a few lines were under budget, so we're only at about 90% of the current budget, so we don't exceed the budget for the fiscal year. Next year's budget, we're meeting on the vote for the referendum, so until that happens, we can't really do much with that.
So this next year, until the new budget is passed, until we have a new budget, we'll be operating with the same figures we had for the current budget year.
And then Evelyn didn't talk about it, but she's got a couple of grants that she's going to pursue for next year.
One small one for this year and one for next year. Do you want me to talk about that now? Sure, okay. I'm going to apply for one that will give us an LCD screen, such as what they have at the Buddhist branch. They've been showing the eagle cam, the live eagle cam for the big bear eagles that are so famous. And people just come in just to look at it. It's just amazing. Such a good family. It's such great stories. I've really enjoyed it myself. And you can use them to project presentations, or, do a Zoom meeting, or all kinds of uses for it, gaming. So we'd like one at the Rathbun branch, so I'm asking for a grant for that. And the other grant I'm asking for is to start digitizing and archiving our historical collection, which is upstairs at the Rathbun. There's really some valuable things up there, and they need to be protected. So I'd like to get a grant first. I know some people who are archivists. There's one I worked with at Wesleyan in particular, at Yukon Health Center, who then became the archivist at Wesleyan, and she has a lot of experience archiving really rare data. So I'd like her to come in just as a friend and tell me how to proceed, what are the best things, how to do it, what to do first, and then get some proposals for what it would cost to begin. And this will probably be a multi-year project, and the goal is to have that collection ready to move at the time that we build a new library. We'll build a room in the new library when we build it that's humidity controlled and all of those, so that you can keep historical documents there, and then it'll be ready to just move right in. That's my goal.
That's great.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if we ever lost that?
Oh, I know.
I mean, what do you have?
Well, just today, 2 men came in very interested in the Parker historical documents. There's a big history of East Haddam that's, I guess some of it is, there were pictures of pages on it. It goes on. And they were just so anxious to read it and appreciative that we had it. Went upstairs and spent hours up there looking through it. One of them said, I wish I could get somebody to just record all of this for me and I could own it myself. And I said, well, you're welcome to come back anytime you want to see it. So
Or give us a really big donation towards digitizing our collection and just see it whenever you want.
And there are families that come every summer to research their family homes or family genealogies.
Right. Any questions or comments about finance? Juliana, are you good?
Yes, I'm good. How are we on governance?
Yep, now we're governance.
Okay. So we did meet last week, and we discussed the upcoming municipal election. As the time of the meeting, no one was really 100% sure of exactly who was running, but we were checking into that, knowing that the caucuses are coming up in July. We were hoping to review the director's evaluation, but we hadn't received enough response in time by the committee meeting. We have now, so that will be compiled and reviewed by the committee in July and presented to, of course, all of you. We decided that the annual review of the manual will commence in September, and we will be sending out the board effectiveness survey. I checked into it, and we're trying to get it on a regular schedule. So it looked like last year we did it in August. So we'll do it in July this year, trying to get it on the same fiscal calendar year and in line with the director's evaluation for next year. And our July meeting, just in case anyone did want to come, is rescheduled from July 3rd, that holiday weekend, to July 17th. That's it.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for Juliana before we move on? All right, thank you. Now we get to the Public Relations Committee.
Yes, we met by Zoom on June 4th, and initially, at the beginning of the meeting, it was a library update, so we talked about the budget. I'm not going to reiterate everything about that. That took up a big part of our meeting. And under library director updates, that was again talking about the budget and the 2% cut at that time that was supposed to be put in place. Next on our agenda was the community outreach, and Evelyn told us that she was still working with the Land Trust Words and also the Woods Book Club. And you're doing the, what is it, The Secret of Bees? Secret Life of Bees? Is that the book that you're doing?
No, we're doing The Secret Life of Trees.
Trees. And I thought I had my eyes fixed. Okay, so now we're doing trees. Sorry about
The
that.
Secret Life of Bees was good, isn't it?
Yeah, that would be fun, actually.
Yeah, that would. Okay, and going on. And one of the things we talked about in old business was the after-school program, the hangout for, the homeschool program. And we talked about how we could get more publicity out about that. And one of the suggestions that Evelyn made was that I interview Anastasia and write a report about what her goals are, what she's actually doing, and some of the fine points about that program, and then submitting it to the newspaper. So I agreed to do that. And so as soon as we can hook up with Anastasia, that process will start. We decided we would just keep the meetings scheduled the way it is and the way, we planned it going forward. And under new business, when we talked about implementing goals and guidelines, what we came up with is we have to do more press releases, get our name out there more in the newspaper, more flyers. We talked about whether or not people would even pick them up or look at them, or, if that would be worth the time and the effort. And also, the way that most of us know the way to communicate now is through the email. So we thought that would probably be the best way to reach out digitally to try to engage more people and get our name out and our programs out, and going forward what was coming up. I won't go through what programs we discuss. I'll do that when we're doing it together. But that was about it. The only other thing that I thought was interesting was that on June 27th, they were doing a board game event, which it would be fun for it to be more publicized. And it's all the way from Monopoly to Exploding Kittens. If you haven't played that game, it's lots of fun.
I don't know.
It is actually. It makes a great Christmas stocking stuffer. And then the other thing was the Teens Writing Club, which I thought was very, very interesting. And it's going to be on June 11th on Wednesday at 4 p.m. And if the participants want to stay from 4 to 5, then they're going to have practice sessions or advisories on how to write something, how to write a resume, how to write a college paragraph, So I thought that was a really wonderful thing that we should get the word out about that. We're past the stage where they're doing the college applications, but, it's
Let
still
them know,
wonderful.
let the guidance counselors know for next year, for the college.
That'd be a
Give
good
them a
point.
heads up.
Yes. That'd be really worthwhile, If you've ever had to read some of them, you know how terrible they can be. So that was it, and we adjourned at 3:10, decided we're not going to meet in July. And, our next meeting would be on August 6th at 2:30. Any questions?
Just about the email, where are we at in terms of having a library ability to send out an email? What,
Well, you have to get permission from every person before you can start sending them emails. And I haven't done it yet, but I need to update the application card for libraries so that it's a checkbox there that it's, when they give us their email, that it's okay. Now, some libraries actually put up a questionnaire on their website that everyone has to answer before they can get into the website, that asks whether we have their mailing address and if they're willing to give it to us. And so the first step is to collect enough emails to make it
okay, and
useful. The second thing is there's a software program called Constant Contact. And I'm going to look into what the expense of that would be. That's what most libraries use for publicizing, sending out blast emails. So So meanwhile, anyone whose email we have that we have permission from, we can send to, but that hasn't systematically been done
Okay.
yet.
Constant Contact is priced based on usage. So the Historical Society uses Constant Contact, and I don't know usage. They've only got about 350-ish, 400 members, and right now we're paying about $53 a month.
That sounds like a lot.
So it's probably more expensive than you think it is, or think it should be. Because you'd have potentially several thousand people at the library.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we don't know what the price structure is, whether it goes up
Well,
exponentially or, you know.
as your quantity goes up, the price, goes down. So,
Yeah, per.
so it wouldn't be, 10 times
Right.
the cost, but
Right.
it's maybe 4 times or 5 times the cost.
Mhm.
And trying to find $5,000 or whatever it
Yeah.
cost in the budget is,
Every year, is it something?
oh, it's
Yeah.
a monthly subscription
Yeah.
essentially.
So it's.
You had a question, Alice?
I just wondered whether we could contact the schools and let them know what we're doing.
Well, they've got some kind of board or something that they post things for the parents. I'm not sure how that works because I'm not involved anymore. But there is something, and I know things have gone through there. The superintendent's very open to post, I think having things posted.
I know we publicize a few things through them, like the puppeteer, the Tanglewood marionettes.
And I can't
programs.
remember what that board is, there's a specific name for it, but there's something that all parents sign up for. So it would just be a matter of getting whatever
If
to
you
the,
contacted the teachers,
no, you would contact the superintendent. Because everything has to be approved by the superintendent that's ever posted.
That sounds like a good thing to discuss in the public relations
Right. Yeah, we
subcommittee,
can look into that.
as a means of public relation, getting the word out. So that would be great if you can kind of follow up on that and get back to the board, maybe.
So other than the schools, does the town have a Constant Contact account?
And not that I know of.
So, all right, so if that's something that can possibly end up on the Public Relations Committee agenda for, just keeping up with, if the idea is possibly using email as a means of communication, by what, as it was in your last meeting, then the question is, well, how do you actually go about doing that? And is it practical or, yeah.
In a way, people are kind of getting away from email now
Mhm.
because people's emails are overflooding.
Yes.
So I think they're moving more towards social media, which we're really good at. You don't need any permission to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so we go on all of the event pages on social media
Mhm.
and advertise. I think that helps a lot. And then our website itself is so dynamic now with all of the flyers and things in it.
Mm-hmm.
But we could supplement that with email, but I don't think it's worth a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of an awkward question, but is the library on Facebook?
Yes, we have a
There is a
Facebook
site,
page.
okay.
Yeah.
And
I'll
the
send
other
it to you.
The other thing is, when we get rich after this budget type thing,
When they find that pot of money that somebody's
Yeah.
hiding somewhere that we don't know where it is.
when you go in the door at the Essex Library, there is a big screen like that, and on it, well, probably not as big as that, but they flash all the upcoming events.
Old Lyme had one too.
but you have to get them to the library.
Yeah, so,
That's
In the
not
past,
happening.
they've had ours over here in Moodus.
They used to do
They
that.
used to do that. Right now, it's the Eagles, but they always had it running with events.
Yeah.
So once Rathman gets, whatever it's called, you could be doing that there too.
right, I mean, it'd be wonderful.
Yeah, it just, yeah.
I was just thinking right in that lobby. you know, people going in and out can see, and it doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, children's activity, but the book clubs and all those other things.
Yeah, that's sort of the town has to figure out how they, you know, like right now they have that, all they have is the calendar on the website, which is not particularly effective. The town needs to have one of your committees, one of your public outreach committees. But that's sort of, you know, it's beyond us to be able to say, put this in the lobby for us. It's got to be a town-wide decision, but it's an interesting concept. But, you know, good idea in the Rathbun when we get that screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could try flyers, because then you could do, you know, have like post office and Sanibel's, and so you could hit very
We do a
disparate,
lot of and
you know,
actually,
parts
there's
of
a
town.
nice place here to
display them, which we
Yeah.
started.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the racks,
Yeah.
there's
Post
a name
office,
for those.
grocery store.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You know, the typical pharmacy.
we have our work cut out for us, Mary.
I'm sorry? I was
Yeah.
just thinking, yes.
Yeah, you're gonna be driving all around town. You're gonna
Yeah,
be like, here comes Mary again.
but, you know, they're good ideas.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely.
Okay, were there any other questions? Okay, thank you.
All right, now we roll right into the Friends Liaison Report. Mary?
So give you a break.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
The big thing coming up is the Friends Book Sale. We will start collecting this Tuesday at First Church, 10 to 12, boxes and books.
Is that going to be every Tuesday?
Every Tuesday until the end of September.
Okay.
Barbara Kelly's gonna speak to Anastasia about making posters, because she does such a wonderful job. And then 3 of the people will be saving any of the really good leftover books for the next year's book sale. Then, there was only 4 people at the meeting, I heard. We're trying to come up with a Friends pamphlet. You know, combining, you know, a Friends pamphlet telling the different things that we do. And Barbara Kiley's going to talk to Anastasia about creating it, so that we would have something, you know, for both libraries, you know, to hand out at different functions. So that has gotten kind of into the works.
Okay.
Kind of bouncing off what you said earlier about your, and then the library we do for the Friends summer drawing. The kids come in, take a book out, they get a ticket and put it in whatever prizes they want to have. And I guess they said there's going to be a treasure chest of gifts that will be given to any children that did not have their raffle ticket drawn. So I'm not
Oh,
sure.
that's a good idea.
So I'm not
Nice.
sure quite what that is. I was
Oh.
in St. Louis, so I was not at the meeting. There's going to be an adult reading program this summer, and we're going to pay for gift cards totaling $120 for bingo prizes. And that's going to kick off, the summer reading program kicks off the 21st. And this, or a program sponsored by both libraries was passed out. I'm not quite sure what that is.
What's a adult summer reading program?
Well, it's a sheet of paper that has all these little squares on it, like a bingo card. And if you manage to get a straight line read of books,
Oh, okay.
then you get a coupon and you put it in. And then we have a raffle drawing at the end of the summer, and there will be 6 prizes, $6 $20 gift certificates to local businesses at each branch.
And each square is like
Is it-
a different genre.
I was
Like you
gonna
write a
say,
Like
history
historical
book or-
fiction,
Okay.
you know,
So do you
history,
know, do you know
nonfiction.
what the genre is? Is it listed on the
It's on-
bingo card?
Yes,
Okay.
thinking about from last year.
Right, yeah, we've done this for a number of
I
years,
didn't know that.
so we should publicize it better.
That's what it all boils down to, unfortunately. Okay, you're on.
Okay, has there been any, you know, forward plans about both of the Friends groups getting together for a social event?
No, that kind of I was talking to Janet about having a Friends get together, and she was gonna, because was Pat's little thing, so she's supposed to be doing it.
Well, she's on vacation this week.
Oh, okay.
So she's been really working hard. We've had a lot of year-end work that she's getting
Been
out
doing.
of, but she still wants to do that, I'm sure.
No, I do think it's a good idea, like meeting at like Cactus Bistro. It'd be nice if we could do it while it's still nice. It would have to be a
Outdoors,
Saturday or
yeah.
Sunday afternoon after the library's closed.
Well,
Not a Saturday, yeah.
That'd be a nice event, nice get, because I don't even know of anybody other than you now on the other friends group. Yeah, so I don't know if that's reciprocal, but, okay. I don't want to reiterate, but I'll just go quickly through all the upcoming events that are going to be co-sponsored. And of course, it's the Mr. Bubbles that's coming up on July 17th. And what the goal was, I guess, from the state, was that they wanted to have something presented to the children at the event. And so they're going to buy bubble sticks to hand out to all the participants. And then on the 29th is the shark. They're not going to give out sharks. They are going to try to find like either a little book that's already made about sharks that has projects in it, or do their own, which is another project. And of course, then there's the August 11th one that everybody's anticipating, which is the poop program. They do not know, at least when I spoke with Maureen, they have no clue about what kind of toy they would hand out for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the Rathbone was running, which I think was a wonderful program. It's the learning to do sign language for babies. And they had 3 scheduled dates, the 17th and 31st of May and June 14th. People signed up for the first 2 and nobody showed up for either one of them. Which was really, really sad. I mean, it's a very worthwhile program, but, you know, people.
It's a busy time of year. I think it's
Yeah.
hard for people in May.
Right. Yeah. And what was decided is in the future, they were gonna see if they could do some sort of a video thing where people could just, log on and watch it,
So the presenter is going to do that. She's going to create the presenter that was going to do the baby sign language. It was great. I was there the Saturday that she came in, and she's very lively, and I think she'd be a great teacher. She's going to do a little video that will be posted on our website, so anyone interested can watch it whenever they want to.
Oh, that's very generous.
Yeah. It's a really worthwhile program, I think.
Yes.
Until they learn to speak. And, okay, so going forward, the Meg's Point is going to sponsor, it's through the Land Trust, they're going to have a lecture on snakes and turtles. Unfortunately, I don't have a date for that. I'm not really sure why. Do you know?
I'll look on our calendar.
I thought you gave me a date for it, but and I don't have it here. And then, of course, they just put on the back burner about the ferry house that's going to be coming up, in September. They're going to get through all this. So basically what their meeting was like, who's going to do what? Who's doing the advertising? Who's going to be there to man the station, collect, just to be there. So that was all the little minutia that they had to figure out at that meeting, so that they could get from both groups could be combined in the events. So, yeah. Actually, I think it'd be quite exciting to see Mr. Bubbles. And that was all, their main focus was at the last meeting was summer programs and just making sure that they had coverage and everything was in place so that those programs, because again, they're not going to be here, they're going to be at the museum. So,
Okay.
You know, so got to coordinate with the museum about timing and all that kind of stuff.
They were, last year, they were really well attended.
I'm sorry?
The ones that were at the Historical Society last year, they were well attended. They did a bubble one, and they did a snake one. Was that through us, or was that?
No, we didn't, they put outreach to our groups
Well,
to
that's-
help finance
Right.
these.
Well, that's good, because, you know, people show up for those. The kids are amazing.
And again, it's all that outreach with
Yeah.
other organizations in town.
Right, and plus, you know, the two friends groups are sharing the expenses. I think they're alternating, and they're going
Right,
to
I
share.
think You're doing the bubble, we're doing the shark, and then I think the poop one we're sharing, maybe? I don't know.
That makes sense.
I know we're doing that one.
Yeah.
That's the one I want to go to.
Yeah. And, you know, just getting a heads up on that, what it is like a program on learning how to track different animal footprints, like the bears in her yard and the, you know,
The owl.
coyotes.
Yeah, probably have some owl pellets and see what's in it.
Right. So I think all these three programs sound pretty wonderful. And hopefully, you know, having them during the middle of the day will help get people that are looking for what to do with the school children, you know, nice activities. Okay, that's it for me. Is there any other questions or concerns?
I just think it's great that the Friends groups are doing more things together.
Oh,
This can be a lot more effective that way, instead of ending up with conflicting stuff to navigate around,
Right,
you know. So that's my 2 cents.
thank you.
All right. As far as unfinished business, the internship program, Evelyn, July, have you figured out how we're gonna get through July?
No, because, well, I sort of do. Any unspent budget money we have, we're going to put toward making sure that we can keep our one summer intern through the end of the summer, because she's essential for keeping the branch open Friday evenings and Saturday mornings, and she's really good. And we want to make sure that we have her through the end of the summer, and she'll be going off to college. She's a senior this year.
Okay.
If the budget doesn't pass again, at the moment, our budget is intact, and we'll be able to hire interns if the current budget survives. If it doesn't, then I don't know what will happen for sure.
Okay.
But that's one of the things that really, we absolutely have to have some intern programs. And when you think of how, I mean, we pay the minimal wage, it's not as if it's a huge expense, and it's a huge asset for the library, so it really is worth every penny that we spend on it.
Yeah, and it's a good role model for young kids that come in. I mean, there's just so many benefits to having an
I agree.
intern.
And they learn so much about libraries, so when they're going off to college, they know how to find books in the library, or what libraries can provide, and how to use the databases.
Well, and it might give them a career path too.
Right.
It has in the past, hasn't it?
It has.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, well, Anastasia took advantage of that.
Anastasia's a prime example, our children's librarian.
So, all right, so we'll keep on that. We've already discussed the 2024-25 budget, and talked about the 2025-26 budget. Any other discussion about that this time? All right, so strategic planning. So we'll flesh out what you had mentioned in your director's report about where we're at with that.
Yes, and I've posted all of these on the website, so you can see them if you go onto the website and look at our strategic planning. You can download our strategic plan, and then below that is a link to the objectives. The objectives are ideas from the library staff that were presented at our October staff meeting, And Maureen Sullivan, who helped us create the original strategic plan before I even knew her or came here. She had worked with Allison to create the strategic plan itself. And the strategic plan has 4 goals. And what the staff did with Maureen there is decide on what objectives we could do this year to actually begin meeting those goals. So for goal 1 was the library is a community hub that is welcoming and inclusive. And we discussed working with the Ivoryton Playhouse. They had a special program that particular month, the Alabama story. And we decided to make sure that people knew about that. And I think some of our trustees went to that. We talked about using other facilities with better accessibility for programs, and we are doing that. We're meeting, that's why one reason we're meeting at St. Stephen's for the book group. And we're planning to meet at the Grange Hall for some other library events. That's where we're having our holiday market and the author showcase. So we're using other nearby places in order to house programs. Another goal was to continue advocating for a new library building. We were all set to start building a new library, and everything was all on the front burner. And then we learned that the firehouse was in danger of falling down and needed to be rebuilt, and that just took all the wind out of the sails of any thoughts about building a new library, because it's the bonding, I think, for that is around $14 million, so it's a very expensive project, and I'm sure the town could not afford to do 2 very expensive projects like that simultaneously, so that puts us a bit behind again.
We want to wait until the time is right.
Yeah.
We don't want to squeeze it in and make it something less than,
Right.
you know.
It needs to be, as it says in our objectives, it needs to be a community hub that people are drawn to, that has plenty of meeting rooms, that has little self-study rooms, it has a maker space, it has
Outdoor
auditorium for big programs, a historical collection room. I mean, there's just no end to things.
A library of things.
A library of things, and
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw the news last night, but the Wallingford Library has a whole collection of toys that they loan out as in their library of things. So that's a great way, because kids,
Yeah.
they're so expensive, and kids get bored with them after a few days, and you just bring them back and get another collection of toys. So there's a lot of things we could do if we had more space. The second goal is the library will extend partnerships and community connections objectives. And we talked about partnering with the Land Trust for our new nonfiction book group, which we've done. We talked about offering library services to the senior center and recommending their tech support services. We haven't done that yet, but there's still time to begin that. For the East Haddam schools, we discussed sharing information about our library programs and starting to plan the summer reading program early in 2025 and work with the school librarians and teachers. And that has happened this year. Anastasia has developed her whole program with the schools, and we have one summer reading program for the school kids and for the general public. So everyone is using the same summer reading tools and lists and objectives and themes. We also plan to connect with Youth and Family Services, and I actually met the new director of Youth and Family Services in part of that, when I was part of that community conversation. He was at that also, one of his first things to do in our town. So I've met him, and we will work with him on various projects. We also want, one of our objectives was to offer resources and connections to homeschooling teachers, and Anastasia's done a really great job with that. We've got homeschool hangout and homeschool recess, and she's getting sometimes not a lot of people, sometimes more people. You know, it's a hit or miss event, but the people that are there really appreciate it. Should I go through all of these things? And then update the library's website and use it in marketing and branding the library. And we've done that. We have a lovely new website. Goal 3 was the library will expand learning opportunities and initiatives. Again, we repeated the offer resources and connections to homeschooling teachers, which we have done. haven't done additional resources for people who request English as a second language. That's another opportunity for asking for a grant. We haven't invited local businesses to present classes on repairing and maintaining things, mainly because the Sustainability Committee in East Haddam is doing that, so they have a repair cafe.
Right.
So I didn't want to compete with them on that, so I think we need to rethink that objective. Invite the town fire department to present fire prevention information. That would be a great program that we want to do. And then work with 2 friends groups to encourage more shared programming. Lots of excitement around that objective with many ideas for implementing. Noted that one group has more members and the other has more funding, so they could really combine
Yeah,
their resources.
they're invincible together.
And goal 4, the library will seek to increase the resources available to meet its mission and vision. And it was noted that that's really the work of the library director, the board, and the first selectman's office. The director will continue to advocate for more resources and will ask for support from the board as needed. And as you know, so far, amazingly, the library budget has survived to this point, so, you know.
I thought the letter that you presented was so good.
Good.
Excellent.
Good. I mean, it's not a lot of money. It's, you know, it's really, as I said, less than 1% of the total town budget and has a very big impact on many people in town, so. That's our update on our strategic plan.
I think it's impressive that you've set the goals and have done so much to accomplish them. You know, I mean, it's not easy as we as a board of trustees has found. You know, before the strategic plan came to reality, that was on our annual goals for many, many
Yeah. I wanted to express basically the same. I find it really refreshing how organized and nicely everything's presented, and the progress is impressive. And during the governance meeting, we also had the same sentiment. I think that was Shay that mentioned, you know, how impressed we were with the work that you put in with the budget, Evelyn, and
yes.
going through those meetings and the letters that you presented and the argument that you presented. So much appreciated.
Well, thank you so much.
Shout out for that one. Okay.
You'll hope. It's not done yet.
Yeah.
You can make your effort.
Yeah, acre effort for sure. All right, so any questions or comments regarding our strategic plan? All right. So let's move on to cuts to IMLS.
Well, that's a continuing story. It's not in next year's budget for the federal budget. So it's funded through this particular fiscal year, which ends July 1st. This is a national budget. And so in the...
Yeah, it might be helpful just to repeat what it stands for.
Okay, that's the Institute for Museums and Library Services. And they report, they fund many small libraries throughout the whole country. They also support every state has its own state library. And so here in Connecticut, we have the Connecticut State Library. So they provide funding to the Connecticut State Library. Once their funding is given to the state library decides how it's going to use it. They don't tell them how to use it. So here in Connecticut, our state library uses it mostly for their digital collection that's available online, and for the Middletown Service Center, which is where we can get collections of books that we can borrow and toys, and they also do a lot of continuing education classes. So that's one thing that they fund that we do use. Not a lot, but we do use it. And the other thing is the Connecticut C-car, the transportation system that brings books from one library to another. If they're not part of it, our consortium does that for us as part of Lion. So anyone that's in Lion will still have transportation for books. But if people are not in Lion, or if they have borrowed a book that's not part of Lion, we don't know how we're going to get it from library A to library B. So that's kind of up in the air. It's not devastating to Connecticut, but it's certainly a very important group. And the museum part I'm sure is affecting people I'm not aware of. I'm not part of that
I know, like,
conversation.
there was a couple of articles, like Mark Twain Museum, and they have ongoing grants coming, and now they don't know if they're gonna still get them to continue whatever work. So it is affecting our museums.
So hopefully, I don't know what will happen with the current budget.
Okay, all right. Well, fingers crossed on that one. Any questions, comments on that? All right, and is there any new business?
John, I would like to just mention an upcoming event at the Senior Center. It's a presentation going to be on the 27th. It's at 11:45 in the morning. But the topic is brain healthy and how to maintain and have a healthy diet for somebody with Alzheimer's. And it's, going to be a nutritionalist and an open discussion afterwards. But, if you know anybody that is dealing with anybody dealing with Alzheimer's, I think it'd be beneficial just to go to it, so.
All right, thank you for that information. Do we have an audience of citizens at all?
No, I see no emails.
Juliana, is your daughter there? Does she have anything to share with us?
She's here, but I don't think anything she's going to share is going to be relevant to this.
No words of wisdom?
I have one last question. Is it okay or advisable or permitted to use the library website to talk about lectures? Not talk about it, but to advertise lectures that are going to take place that would be beneficial to everybody, the one on Alzheimer's? Is that a conflict? The line?
I don't know, I feel as if our duty, our job is to promote our library events. If they were in conjunction with, or a group event, or a co-sponsored event, I think it would be different. But again, that's one of those things that, the town really should be supporting those things. The town should be having a community calendar that's accessible
That is
to
in the
everybody.
works, I think, a community calendar.
I'm sorry?
Yeah. People are talking about creating a community calendar.
Yes.
So that would be the appropriate place to put things like that. I think if you tried to do it in the library, we'd have to decide, well, which one, there'd be so many groups wanting us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
then it
'cause then we
becomes
get-
It would
a,
get very confusing.
Then you have to include
it
Park
becomes
and
a
Rec and
problem
all the
when
different
maybe
groups.
there's a group that wants to post something that you don't want to post, and then you gotta have rules.
Yeah,
and-
the
But a
implication would be
community
that
calendar
we,
would be-
the implication would, if we post it, would be that
Somehow
we support it, and, that could get difficult sometimes.
We do have a community bulletin board in each library where people can come in and put up a flyer about.
Oh, there you go.
So you can send me a flyer, you can email it to me if you want, and I'll put it right up.
Does
on-
Brad have those, does Brad have flyers? If it's. I just saw it on my computer.
It's
I don't
in their,
think
it's in their monthly newsletter.
Yeah. Yes, in
And
the newsletter.
those newsletters you can pick up everywhere.
Right, and it was online, if you're.
Yeah, you can
if
get
remember.
emails sent.
Okay. All right, well, if there's no additional audience of citizens, does anyone have any object to adjourning? All right. Adjourning, what time is it? How'd we do?
7:24.
24.
All right.